Yes, ma'am. You, in the back, with the Andy Warhol t-shirt. Go ahead. And she asks, who's Gretchen? Who's Marguerite? Are they the same person? Good questions. They require detailed answers. We couldn't just say yes, which is in fact true in Goethe's Faust. Gretchen and Marguerite, they're the same character. But we could go deeper, get a complete understanding. Gretchen and Marguerite are two young ladies who had this profound effect on Goethe's life. Gretchen was this girl that Goethe was involved with romantically. It's kind of a funny story. The other, Susanna Marguerite Brandt, the heartbreaking true story of this young woman found guilty of infanticide, sentenced to a public execution, which had become quite rare in Frankfurt by then. It's also possible that he got to interview the prisoner just a few days before the execution, because there's a scene in Faust where he visits Marguerite in prison, and there's Faust proposing an escape. But Marguerite is resigned to the idea. She's repentant. The death of her mother, brother, and kid, so ready to accept her fate. Goethe had just finished his law degree at that time, and this case, there's no doubt that it must have been the focal point of much public discourse and even private. And Goethe, coming from a very prominent family, his grandfather, Textor, the mayor of Frankfurt. Their social circle included people from the judiciary, the public prosecution, the law enforcement, and other senior officials. And Goethe would have been present for many of these discussions that were had in private about this case. Yeah, he would have had great insight into how things worked and possibly didn't agree with quite a bit of it. We know that he was disenchanted with the law in general, and him being present at this beheading would have imprinted his mind with disgust and disillusionment. The story of Gretchen could be approached with much more lightheartedness. Goethe was just entering adulthood, and he had met this group of kids slightly older to him who were up to no good, really. He didn't know that. He just liked this one girl in their group. Her name was Gretchen. I guess they all knew that this was the mayor's grandson. Goethe gets into some hot water here because these young guys, they asked Goethe if he could write sort of like a love letter from a young maiden to a man. He produces one in the blink of an eye, and they give him some more assignments, and he continues to do them, oblivious to the fact that these were being used in a scheme to ensnare his grandfather and some of his cabinet members. The plot was foiled by the police, and they were charged with corruption, conspiracy, and fraud. They were all asked to leave town, including Gretchen. Gretchen, in her testimony, was asked what was her involvement with the mayor's grandson, and she said, "I saw him often, and I liked spending time with him, but I didn't see him as anything more than a child. My affections were like that of an older sister." Goethe was absolutely devastated on learning of this testimony. He had worked himself up into a fit of weeping and raving. He was ill for a few days. I think lovesick is a good word here. And so these two people, these two experiences, form the character of Marguerite/Gretchen in his play, Faust Part 1. This was his style, his MO. He's done it over and over again, turning material from his life experiences into literary exercises.